I think the biggest thing in music right now, the Childish Gambino album soundtrack, even though it's an album, Bando Stone in the New World dropped. We gave it a listen on stream, and it's fine.
Yeah, there's some really good songs on there.
I agree 100%. I mean, I've been playing the fuck out of Steps Beach.
Yeah, Steps
all
Beach.
the time. That's my shit.
Survive is so incredible to me.
Yeah, Advocate I like too still.
I didn't really understand this album conceptually, and I feel like that's maybe what you're pointing to, right? Because it's a soundtrack and we haven't seen the accompanying movie, it's confusing. But I don't know. I think to me it wasn't cohesive. There's a lot of good songs on there, but felt more like a Childish Gambino playlist, if you will. I feel like when he in Atlanta, when they were making music for Paperboy and they were playing like Paperboy songs, they were really Donald Glover, just like imitating a style. I felt like there were a lot of moments in the project where he was doing that, whether it was like a Pink Panthers type beat, a Drake type beat, a Teaser Touchdown type beat, and I wonder why he leaned so heavy into that category, because he's super talented and we all know that he's capable of making very serious, very well thought out music. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying this didn't feel well thought out, but I did feel like the imitations of other styles were a distraction from the artistry of the project, and it didn't really feel like there was any cohesion or direction to it. Again, I think the movie might help, but that was my take off first listen.
Yeah, I agree. I really do think it was a soundtrack. We touched on it in the reaction, but I think my perspective is, after listening to this, it seems like Donald Glover is really focused on this movie. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he might be really ready to retire Childish Gambino, as he said. And I don't know if he necessarily put his all into making this an incredible album. I think this is an incredible soundtrack. Because if you compare this to other soundtracks, it goes toe-to-toe with all of them. And especially once we see the movie, I feel like it might be scored beautifully. Mm-hmm. But if we're looking at this as an album, there's way too many, there's so many different styles, and a lot of them lean a lot more pop than I normally like Gambino to lean. Mm-hmm. I like edgy, artsy pop from Gambino if he's going to do it. But a lot of these were just, you said coming of age in the reaction. And I don't dislike a coming of age alt-rock song, but when you have three of them, and they seem very cinematic and very big, it's probably going to play great in the movie. But as a fan of Childish Gambino albums, yeah, it wasn't my favorite, you know?
Yeah, what I did like about this project, though, and I feel like what helped with the cohesion, or at least making it semi-cohesive, was Amare.
Yeah.
Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, in the style of like a few other greats that we've seen, Kendrick, Drake to some extent, have kind of co-opted a new generation of artists and worked with them in a very collaborative manner to design the sound and the style of the project. Mm. Kendrick did it with Kodak. I feel like Drake kind of did it with Tizo a little bit, yeah. And For All the Dogs. Like, I feel like Donald Glover kind of leaned more in the Kendrick direction, where Amare is like all over this project, clearly has a bunch of writing credits on his music. And is kind of a muse for the style of the project. I thought it was really dope because she's super talented and she's still relatively new and is being brought to the forefront in a way that was dope.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that as much, but I do love when an artist kind of has the same other artist featured 2 or 3 times on the album, kind of like showing that they were almost like a co-exec producer of this album. You know what I mean? If you wrote on a lot of it and featured on a lot of it. That's really cool, and I think she did a great job.
Did she write? I didn't see the writing credits.
I have to double check. I think I got the impression she wrote a lot of it just because of the way he was performing it. Sounded stylistically like her album, and then also too, the first song doesn't have her name featured in the title track, but is obviously her. So I think that was just an assumption I made because of those two things. But we can definitely go back and check.
And I think it makes sense. You know what I mean? Them two together. I think that she's someone who's not bound by genre, which seems like a really, really big thing in the second half of his career. Because I think that once he stopped trying to just be rapper guy, he really, really expanded. And of course, he's had moments throughout his career where he's kind of dibbled and dabbled, but up until Awaken My Love, he was probably going to be called a rapper.
Yeah.
Now it seems like that's completely the wrong thing to like describe him as. And I think with Alma, raps, sings, is she Afrobeat? Is she hip hop? Is she R&B? Like, it's really hard to kind of put her into a box as well. So I think that when you get two creatives in a room like that, they can just go crazy. Big shout out to the producers on here. This was a very expensive album, obviously, but yeah, this was a part of our childhood. Childish Gambino was a big, big part of, I think, us growing up and becoming fans of music. It sucks that this chapter's closing, but he's given us some of the best music, some of the most innovative music of the last 10 years. How long has it been?
Without a doubt, yeah. I mean, Camp was 2011, right?
Yeah, wow, almost 15 years.
And the Freaks and Geeks EP, whatever that was called,
Yeah.
that had to be before that. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Gambino project?
Yeah, I mean, I was having this conversation with a friend the other night, and because I automatically just went to Awaken My Love, because that's the one that I think really was super instrumental in me falling in love with the artist that is Donald Glover. And it was also one of the first. It's like a transcendent album. It's like a Frank Ocean album. It's an album that you can't really compare to anything. It's an album that I think blends so many different styles that it's the one that was just like so incredible to me and that held me up. But Ada Vista is something that I listen to more than Awaken My Love. I listen to constantly. I love those songs, and I love the two songs that he added this year. You know what I mean? I was shitting on the re-release, but that new intro and Human Sacrifice are two of my favorite songs of the year, on top of what I already think was a great project. So it's really close between those two, but I'll probably actually give Ada Vista the edge. I really love that project.
I'm definitely because of the internet still.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because I think that for those two projects, for me, it's like really high highs,
Yeah.
but just a couple skippable tracks that kind of hinder it. But like, I think because the internet is probably my favorite cohesive project of his. Like, I can listen to that front to back. I feel like there's kind of something you can take away too. Like, I really like that one still always. But Ada Vista and Awaken My Love, like, that's a really good trio.
Yeah.
Those are all really, really good projects to me. Do you have a favorite?
I would say 315 Ada Vista. Although I feel like I still appreciate 315 over Ada Vista. And I don't know. I think I got the wrong kind of taste of Ada Vista just based off that Nudie song. I still feel like Nudie feels very misplaced on the project.
Yeah, totally.
I get what he was trying to do, but I don't think it worked.
Oh, it didn't work at all.
Just Littlefoot, Bigfoot threw you off?
Yeah, that song really threw me off, to be honest.
I'm able to ignore that because I think that was a skip for me without Young Nudie. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of the few skips already on the album, so I'm already skipping it. You know what I mean? But I feel you. I do feel you. Some of those changes were strange.
Yeah, Time with Ariana Grande and To Be Hunted. And then what's the song with 21 Savage called?
Psilocybe.
Psilocybe. Yeah. No, those are classic records.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, there's some crazy shit on there.